Okay, if you notice, got me a gaming chair. Noelle got me a gaming chair for our anniversary, which is coming up on the 10th of July. So we'd be married for 11 years, 12 years, something like that. I don't know, for a bit. And so I've already gotten her some things. And, of course, we can't wait for any official date of anything, whether it's Christmas, birthdays, whatever. We always open things up way before they're supposed to. Today is just the 8th. And I've already built this chair because she had me open it a few days ago. Excuse me. And, that same day, of course, I gave her two of her gifts. It's just what we do. But anyway, be sure to join the Discord. It's going to be down in the description box below. And make sure that you like and share the video, right? I'm about to eat my fruit salad here in a second. And I'm on my first cup of coffee, which, whatever. I know it's the wrong month, but it doesn't matter. Couple of bit of news on the basically the development front of Tacoma. I made sure that I put all of this information. Is somebody coming in here? Oh. I made sure I put all this information in a document so that I can actually have it and I'm not just going off of memory, because sometimes that's not a good thing when it comes to me because I have so much that's kind of going on. But the city continues to keep developing and adding construction projects to the pipeline. And that's going to now accelerate even more than in the past if the city does certain things. And we'll talk about that here in just a second. But we're currently in a massive building phase down here. Unlike what you see up in Seattle, where you have super tall buildings, this is the land of mid-rises. When you go to DC, that's all you see is a lot of mid-rise buildings. Well, they have height restrictions in DC. So you're not able to do certain things because of the simple fact that you have the Capitol right there. So you have to have buildings that are of a certain height. That's why you see a lot of mid-rises. But it's a massively dense city. As a result, it's super, super dense. Here, and it's cheaper to build. Those mid-rises are much cheaper to build than these taller buildings, and they're able to take on additional projects as a result. Now, I had already talked about the town center and the fact that it's being developed, and they've actually started construction on that again as of now. So they're starting construction on that. It appears that they're working on the office portion of that. And I could be wrong, but that's what, when you look at the placement of the crane, that's what it looks like. And then I also had mentioned that they're working on, Trent Development's working on that massive apartment project that's kind of in the Brewery District, but close to UW's campus. And that's a huge development, another mid-rise. So a lot of mid-rises here in the city. When you look at just these two projects, the amount of apartments that they're going to add is about 1,000 when you collectively put them together. That's 1,000 apartment units that will be developed in the next few years, right? So the town center, they're wanting to wrap that up rather quickly. It's an incentive for them to build quickly, get it done, and start reaping the rewards, because they're an equity company, reaping the rewards of the investment very fast, right? And they said they're not done with Tacoma. They want to do additional projects here because they love the way that the city is. And so now we have two additional apartment projects that are going to add a little bit more than 350 apartments to the city. Same architect, but completely different companies that are actually building these projects. One is located on 6th Avenue, but right there at the Narrows Bridge, or close to the Narrows Bridge, right? The other one is located in Hilltop. And so both are very interesting. The first one is on 6th Avenue. It's going to be about 7 stories tall, fairly decent sized building. I forget the number of square footage, but it's fairly large. It's going to have about 205 apartments total, and some of those are going to be affordable. That mentions the amount, but I didn't put it in my notes here. But some of those are going to be affordable. Most of them are going to be market rate. Okay. So even though it's going to have 205 apartments, it's going to have about 137 parking spaces. Now this project is key because that part of the city is starting, 6th Avenue is starting to definitely change drastically. And that part of the city is starting to slowly see density. When I say that the 6th Avenue corridor and different places like that, a little bit of Proctor reminds me of Ballard up in Seattle. That's what I'm talking about. It's the slow build a building here, build a building there, but don't put a lot of news behind it, to basically excite the neighbors or the people who are in the area. But you're seeing that. It's a highly desirable area. And so with this particular area, they're talking about there's fairly wide sidewalks there, and they want to increase the amount of foot traffic. Right now, there's not a lot of that, but they want to increase that. So they're going to have 3 commercial spaces totaling about 7,000 square feet, right? The apartment's going to be anywhere from studios to 2 bedrooms, 400 square feet to 1,000 square feet. Construction on this project is going to start in early 2022, so just in a few months. And they're hoping to be completed in late 23 or early 24. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that there won't be some snafus. There are a lot of projects that have actually been proposed and put out there, and they have yet to actually break ground. And some of this is due to the permit process, financing issues, a lot of different things. Tracks, for example, was mentioned years ago, and then they're finally breaking ground on that and building it. So some of these apartment projects, they have run into a lot of issues because of COVID, but also the city is kind of behind in terms of the permit process on a lot of things because of COVID. They've been, a lot of people are working from home. There's a huge pile of stuff that needs to get done. It's a very busy time, but they're trying to crank these things out and improve them as much as possible. But the amount of desire and demand down here is almost excessive when it comes to developers. And still, with all of these developments, it doesn't really take off the amount of people who need apartments and who needs homes. Noelle asked me, she said, well, what's going to happen? Because there's not a lot of home building projects here in the city. Are they going to end up a lot of people living in apartments and condos when they move here? And the answer is yeah. A lot of the people who will be moving to Tacoma will eventually, because right now, the bulk of the people who live in Tacoma live in homes, right? The biggest population, that is starting to shift, obviously. And as you get closer to downtown, it's more of the other way around, where people live in apartments or condos versus homes, obviously. But that has not always been the case for downtown Tacoma. It has been more people lived in homes. When you look at Stadium and Hilltop and some of these other areas surrounding downtown, those are all homes. That's slowly starting to change because they're starting to put more projects like this there. You look at 6th Avenue, same thing, and Proctor. Mostly homes. You don't have a whole lot of apartment buildings, but they're slowly starting to pop those in. And so over time, you're going to see a dramatic shift, right? So the vast majority of people who are moving here now, even though their dream is to have a home, more than likely are going to be in an apartment or a condo as opposed to a single family home. The next project's in Hilltop. Now this one is a great project, don't get me wrong, but I can see people maybe having an issue with it. It's going to be located in Hilltop. It's a 95,000 square foot building. I'm not sure of the height. It didn't say how many stories it is or how many floors. But it's going to be located in Hilltop. It's all residential. So there's absolutely no commercial retail space or anything like that. Now, that can be a good thing or a bad thing. Good thing because it could be that folks are saying this is a gentrification type project because this is an all residential building. All of the apartments are going to be market rate. There are no affordable units based on what I've read in this particular project. None. So it's going to be 148 market rate apartments, no retail, no affordable units, and only 73 parking spaces. Okay. Construction starts in the fall, this fall, and they're hoping to complete this project by 2024. Okay. Now, before I get to the news as far as the city goes, one of the projects that I do want to talk about, and I mentioned in this, was the town center. I mentioned the town center is going to put in so many hundred units of apartments, but also they're going to have 200,000 square feet of office. They're going to build 2 glass buildings that will be their office components, and I'm assuming 100,000 square feet each. And that would definitely be needed. 1,000 parking spaces, that type of thing. Now, one of the things that it did mention, and I got clarification from the company that's building this Galena Equity, or Galena, I don't know how to say it, was that supposedly it's only going to have 36 to 39,000 square feet of retail. They said that's incorrect. So the information that the news had is incorrect. They said it's more likely to be 50,000. So they basically just switched everything. The prior project wanted to have 50,000 square feet of office and 200,000 square feet of retail. They're changing that, and they're basically saying we want 200,000 square feet of office and 50,000 square feet of retail. So still a very small project in terms of retail aspect, but hopefully this will be a catalytic event that will create more retail spaces and shopping downtown, right? Hopefully it does do that. Now, I will say this. One of the things that Tacoma is doing, that the state is allowing, is what's called a TIF district. So it's a Tax Incremental Financing district. That's what TIF means. And right now, the city offers massive tax breaks for developers who build apartments, and you get these different abatements that you can do. So you could do 10 or 12 years, depending upon what you choose to do. And the city, if they agree with what your project is, they will allow that, right? They're trying to stop that from happening in highly desirable areas like 6th Avenue and the northeast or the northwest side of the city. They're trying to say those are highly desirable areas. You don't need any sort of tax breaks for that. But in other key areas, we'll keep those tax breaks. So that's a different thing. A TIF district is a hammer. And I can tell you from experience, because my hometown of Bowling Green, Kentucky, downtown Bowling Green at one point was the place in the 60s. In the 70s, that changed. The mall was built, everything left downtown. You didn't have any cars down there. You literally could walk around downtown and scream, and probably very few people, if any, would hear you. It became a ghost town. There were still a few stores here and there, but they were just basic stores, mom and pop stores that would be there. Not a lot of foot traffic. The streets are super narrow, like a kid can throw a rock and hit the other sidewalk crossing the street. Just no traffic whatsoever, no importance. And it continued to be less of an issue. When people say, oh, let's go hang out downtown, people are like, why? There's nothing down there. The mall is where you go. That changed a few years ago, and they created a TIF district. And it's a highly risky thing, because if you were to build it and it doesn't come, then you owe all of that tax money potentially back to the state. So it's kind of one of those things where you bear a lot of risk as a city, but if Bowling Green, Kentucky can do it with the risk that's involved there, and it's not as much of a proven area as Tacoma, it's not highly desirable. A lot of people are wanting to move to Bowling Green, don't get me wrong, but it's not like it is here in Tacoma where there's a massive crush of people. This would be a massive hammer, because all of the sudden now the city could end up reaping money. So for example, Bowling Green, when the TIF district happened, the first projects that were created were city buildings that the city created. They redeveloped and built it's on the tip of my tongue, but a Chamber of Commerce building. They built that, right? That was one of the first projects. They then went ahead and built the Performing Arts Center. Big project, $50 million, I believe. They then went and said, okay, hold on, let's build a baseball stadium, a minor league baseball stadium. They built that. right? Then the city said, okay, hold on, let's build a parking garage downtown. We didn't have a parking garage really. So they built a 7 or 8 story parking garage, holds about 800 cars, right? So then they stopped. They're like, okay, let's see what happens. They spent all of this money, and all of a sudden, boom, downtown exploded. All of these different projects going in, hotels going up, different things happen. They're reaping big bunches of money off of this. The baseball stadium changed hands, but now the owner that had that is saying that we will leave it to the city if we ever do decide to no longer be interested in the team. You own the team. So now the city has a minor league baseball team. The apartment garage that was built, a developer came and wrapped the entire building with apartments. So now instead of just an ugly parking garage, it is wrapped with, it looks like an apartment building, but it's not. It's a parking garage, but it has apartments wrapped around it. They put in various different things downtown. Tons of development projects going on, all the apartments and construction that's going on. It was just a construction zone and still is. It doesn't look like the same place. Not at all. Now the shift has happened to where you have a lot of people who are going downtown, and they had, unlike Tacoma University, there, Western Kentucky University is humongous compared to UW Tacoma. We have 20,000 students there, but it's close to downtown, yet not a lot of people go downtown Bowling Green from the university. This changed that. Now you have a lot of people going downtown. Dollar General store. It's just a basic general store, but they decided to build a store right there in downtown. Why? Because originally they had a Dollar General store downtown, but it had since moved away. They never thought about it. But all of the development, they're like, let's take a chance. And so now it's wildly successful. They have a little skate park, farmers market down there now. They have all these different things, a boutique hotel that has like a piano bar and all this hoity-toity stuff. All of that happened because of a TIF district. If Tacoma does do this, which they're deciding if they want to do a TIF district, then it is going to be insane. Insane. Because what the economic developer is telling the city is if we do this, yes, there's a lot of risk. But the places that you want to actually put this in is not areas that are not developing. You don't want to put it in areas where you want to encourage growth and there's no growth. You want to put it in areas where the growth is already happening and you want to enhance it. So one of the areas that, and we have two, that we would be given 2 of those TIF district opportunities. The state will allow for 2. Downtown obviously makes sense. If they do this, if the city says, yes, let's do the TIF district thing, and yes, let's define downtown. Bowling Green basically said, this is what we consider downtown. They redrew the map and said all of what's in this is considered to be downtown. It's beneficial for developers because they have a less of a tax burden, and it's a great incentive because they don't have to really do much. But then the city also gets reimbursed for all of the development that it did. So all of the things it built ahead of time, it is getting reimbursed for that. So the Bowling Green made out like a gangster. If Tacoma does that, way different story. Way different story. You're talking about a much bigger city. You're talking about a highly desirable city. You're already having a lot of people that want to move and live down here. Big game changer. Big game changer. However, the city has to find projects that it needs to invest in. So first it has to approve this TIF district thing. Second, it has to identify where it wants to have the TIF district. Downtown is obviously a place that makes sense to me, that we need to define that. The Dome district is another area I think that would make sense, in my opinion. So those 2, putting in downtown and the Dome district, would be bananas. Because the Dome district has nothing but opportunity waiting because you have all of those warehouses, land available where you could really make a big punch. And the city has been wanting to develop the Dome district for a very long time. So literally just taking the Dome district, identifying the areas that they want to include in this, and then also doing that with downtown, it would be insane. But anyhow, the city is still continuing to attract a lot of developers. There's a few more that I have a list of that are rumored to be looking at the city and wanting to put some things down here. But so far, and if those do come, you're looking at probably another 500 apartments. But at any rate, the city keeps adding a lot of apartments, a lot of projects. These are in the pipeline. If these two projects do happen, it would be a great thing. I think the one on G Street in Hilltop might be a little bit more controversial because it's market rate. There's no affordable units and there's no retail or anything like that. But it seems like the city is still moving forward very healthily, at a very healthy pace. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you join the Discord, which is down in the description box below. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I will see you. Take care.